So Dragon, we are 25 episodes in to NFTs.
Wait a second. 25 episodes?
25 episodes in. Why don't we do a quick episode to recap where we've been, where we are, and where we're going? What do you say?
Holy cow, I'm into this.
NFTs are changing the world, and change can feel complicated and scary. But listen, you don't need a computer science degree. You don't need to learn how to code. You just need practical skills to win.
If you are here, you are in the 1% of humans that are preparing for this major cultural shift. We're going to keep it fun. We're going to keep it light. We're going to make it practical. Welcome to NFTs Made Simple.
Just a reminder, we're not financial advisors. This is not financial advice, and you should do your own research.
Hey, let's get into it.
So Dragon, 25 episodes. Unbelievable. Our first official episode was February 22nd of this year. We're now 4 months into this project. What are your thoughts on everything that you've learned over the past 4 months?
Well, first of all, I'm the co-host of this show, and I didn't know we had 25 episodes. Like, I knew we had a bunch, but I just got the chills thinking about that. Like, wow, that's pretty cool. As you know, in podcast land, most people bail after the first couple of them.
I will say that I am just as enthusiastic now as I was day one.
Yeah, I would even say I'm more enthusiastic, and that's part of what I'll share. I just going back, and I just remember pre-NFTs Made Simple, when we didn't even know the name of it, and you and I were just two buddies that were into this, and we had this idea, and we were just trying to figure out how it was going to roll out and all that stuff. And then we made it, and we created the logos and all that stuff. But I remember the vision. It was like there was two or three components to it. One was obviously that we wanted to create a kick-ass podcast that would take the beginner, the curious and interested person, which represents the most, it's the largest component of people engaging in NFTs, people that aren't, right, that are just looking at it. We wanted to take them from point A to Z, but we also recognized, as a couple of dadtrepreneurs, I guess we could call that, we wanted to win as well. Not necessarily, from the podcast. We wanted to serve with the podcast, but we wanted to learn. And we recognize the value of to teach is to learn twice. So we went on this venture, and I'm just asking now, did we succeed? Well, our listeners love it. We've got 25 episodes, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback. And also, when I go out in public and somebody says NFT or crypto, they walk away thinking I know what I'm talking about. And also, let's acknowledge that you and I have we have cryptocurrency portfolios. Just like a lot of our listeners, you and I are holders of NFTs. I've got some rare NFTs that nobody even knows about yet because I thought that was a good idea. We're in the VFriends community and all that. So yeah, I would say I'm proud of ourselves here.
One of the things that you brought up I think is really important is I can actually carry a conversation in public with people just by being involved in this program. And it is fun in me, Dragon. I'll be talking, I'll be having a conversation with someone in the real world, quote unquote, in the physical world, if you might say, and they'll say something to the effect, this is before I've gotten to the conversation about, what you should really do to educate yourself on NFTs is go watch some YouTube videos or listen to a podcast. I'm like, well, it's funny you say that because I actually run a podcast, and we break down in the first 10 episodes, basically everything you need to know to actually join the conversation, to get a feel for what's actually happening in the space. So, just over the last 4 months, my vernacular, my vocabulary has increased a lot. And I hope that's the same for every single listener in our community, because to me, that's the game. And, I started this project with it for a few different reasons. I decided it was important. But one of the big ones was I recognized that this technology and the way that it validates, the way that you can generate various sources of income and revenue, smart contracts. There's a lot that you can do with that. And I knew that, because again, I run a podcast production agency, right? And there's a lot of podcast production agencies out there, but I saw NFTs as a really powerful way to differentiate myself and my value to clients. Say, listen, you start a podcast with Mark Savant Media, not only are you going to get a high quality show and you can focus on what you love, but we can actually launch that with an NFT as well. And so that was kind of my long game. And, you know, it's kind of interesting. That kind of, I guess, brings us up to kind of how we got to where we're at today. But it's kind of funny. When we first started the podcast, like NFTs were hot, super hot, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was launching an NFT every week, every day. There were dozens of NFTs going live, thousands and thousands of dollars in the space. And then all of a sudden the economy started to cool off. And then people are like, getting off of, you know, all my crypto is worthless. My NFTs have taken a dump. And it's like the whole space is kind of like everyone who was in it, they're like bandwagon fans. Is that a fair choice of words? That we got a bunch of bandwagon fans in the space?
Yeah. You know, I agree. I agree that it's funny. And, you know, I'm just thinking back and I just want to, you know, take this moment and say another thing we've accomplished is, you know, you and I have become buddies where I know a lot more about you than just you and your podcast skills. So lots of respect to you. But, you know, you and I, man, I just feel lucky that you, it's probably because of my friendship with you that I didn't dump a whole bunch of cash on one of these like stupid things that like popped up that we could have easily, you know, I mean, you and I got excited about NFTs, but the truth is that at that time we had no idea about them. You know, case in point, to a listener that starts off at episode 1 of NFTs Made Simple and goes through, you're going to be empowered and in control of knowing what is interesting, what you should look at and what you shouldn't. So, you know, thank God that I did make a couple of mistakes. You know, if you listen to our episodes, I did, you know, get the sheets pulled over my head one time, you know, and I saw like some deal to get a World of Women thing. And, you know, like I spent like probably about like $800 and it was fake. So, you know, what a great lesson there. But you know, what's interesting, Mark, is we find ourselves here. You use the concept of things have cooled off, and it's not just cryptocurrency and it's not just NFTs. It's also the S&P. It's the market right. as well. And inflation is up and all that. So I think it's important for people to understand that NFTs and cryptocurrency are not a fad. You know, it's just like we've talked about historically with the internet. It is a real thing and it is not going away. If anything, it is about to explode. So what I think is unique about our approach, and once again, kudos to us, is we weren't really naive, and our listeners aren't naive as well. We looked at this and we fell in love with the technology. We fell in love with the concept of decentralization and the metaverse and digital assets and all that stuff. So we took all this time to learn from the greats like Gary Vee and all the guests that we've had. But we also knew, because everybody said it, we also knew that this time was coming. We've been talking about it through our whole show. So I don't know when somebody's coming in and listening to our podcast, because at the time you're listening to this episode, you might be like crushing it in NFTs or something. But, you know, right now we're in this hypothetical winter, but we knew this was coming. So I'm more excited about NFTs and cryptocurrency than ever, because I see that this is the real opportunity to spend some time learning and potentially, and we'll get into this in later episodes and some of our guests coming in, potentially now's the time to invest. Not sure, but I think the greatest potential and opportunity people have to get into NFTs long-term is actually around now. So it's interesting.
Well, you brought up a really good point, Dragon, in that I think that leading up to this over the past, let's call it 12 to 18 months, like this whole NFT thing is like so fresh. It's so new. Leading up to this, you're seeing all these different shows and blogs and quote unquote experts just like spouting off all this advice on how to get rich. And it was, people always do this. I don't know what it is about humans, but we always fall into this trap of get rich quick. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to be a day trader. Like I saw a funny meme the other day where someone was updating their LinkedIn profile, and under one part, it said NFT day trader, cryptocurrency, DeFi. And then just below it, it showed his new job was at McDonald's. I was like, that's pretty funny. You know, you just can't go all in, but I think that's probably why, Dragon, I really like building what we're building here with NFTs Made Simple. Is we're not just in it for that quick that quick bite of the apple. We see the actual technology behind it, and it's so powerful. I want to give you another example, Dragon, something that I was talking to someone about the other day, and then we kind of talk about where the future of the show is going, the future of the community is going. But I was talking to someone the other day playing disc golf, by the way. What's up, Graham? It was fun playing disc golf with you. Fun game. If you play disc golf, by the way, shoot us an email, contact@NFTs Made Simple, contact@NFTsMadeSimple.com, contact@NFTsMadeSimple.com. Email me if you're into disc golf. Hey, what's up? Mark here. Just want to take you on a quick break with a resource I think is really going to help you. Some of the concepts that we're covering in the show sound really complicated and really technical. But listen, you don't need to code. You don't need to get a master's degree in computer science. All you need to do is have the right resources. We're going to make it simple. We're going to make it easy. I've got a link below. Go to www.nftsmadesimple.com. That's nftsmadesimple.com. You're going to get a free cheat sheet there. It's 100% free. What are you waiting for? Go get the cheat sheet. We're going to break down some of the key definitions in ways that are really practical and really simple. Go to nftsmadesimple.com right now to get your free cheat sheet. That's nftsmadesimple.com. All right, let's get back into the show. So I'm playing disc golf, and we're just kind of talking about NFTs and what they can do. And there's some software out there that we're seeing in the podcast realm where what you can do is, if you can upload, I don't know the exact time, it's like upload 10 different audio files of someone speaking, and then you can leverage this technology to mimic that person's voice. Almost identical. You just type in the words and the computer knows exactly the way that person sounds and talks, and it will speak, and it'll be indistinguishable. The difference in voice is indistinguishable. And I'm thinking we're moving into this world now where I could have fake conversations with people and have them saying all kinds of bizarre stuff, whatever it is. Like, there's a lot of controversial stuff going on in the world right now. And if I could do that, I mean, anything that you put on social media, anything that's put out there, we have to start questioning, is that the real person? Yeah. I don't know if a blue check mark's going to get there. So if you were a public figure and saying anything that I do is going to have an NFT attached to it to validate authenticity, maybe that's something that we could look at. Anyway, some interesting stuff. That's an interesting thing that kind of popped on my radar this week.
Yeah. And, I think that's probably what I find most interesting about NFTs and cryptocurrency is how you can qualify something as valid, but we're seeing a lot of things happen. Yeah. You're talking about audio cloning or something like that. Yeah. There's a lot of scam. There's a lot of potential. If you're a scammer, man, your business is good right now.
This is booming.
But what's interesting for me to look at the future of this and stuff. First of all, I've never been, in my podcast, and what I'm most interested in, and I've got a book coming out about some of this stuff. I'm fascinated with simulation hypothesis, and that makes me interested in artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and also the metaverse. Case in point, the metaverse is hotter than it's ever been. It's like, there's no way of you can go buy land in the form of an NFT in the metaverse. And I know NFTs right now are in that winter, but the concept of the metaverse and this digital world attached to virtual reality and artificial intelligence, it's never been hotter. It's everything. It's everything. So
Zuckerberg, by the way, just announced that they're going to be selling digital clothing in their metaverse.
Yeah. So
it sounds obvious, but it's, Facebook official.
That being said, when I look at the evolution, and if you listen to all of our shows, you'll see, and we've got some really good guests coming up as well. It's going to be interesting to talk to some people that are like heavily invested in NFTs. Like, what are they doing right now? So I think what's coming is there's an evolution, because what Mark and I are going to do is we're not just going to keep talking about the same thing all the time. We've got our sleeves rolled up and we're in the muck and we're learning and listening and finding out, like, with our finger on the pulse, what's going on. So I think there's going to be a lot of transition into recognizing that cryptocurrency and NFTs are currencies and assets that you're using in a bigger picture of this metaverse. So I think I see the future of our show, even though it's called NFTs Made Simple, we're going to the metaverse. You know what I mean? And there's going to be a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, well, and NFTs play a huge role in that metaverse that you're talking about, because ownership, validation, access, they're all going to be driven by NFTs. You did mention something too, Dragon, by the way, about, what are people with lots of NFTs, high profile NFTs, what are they doing? And I listen to, several Twitter spaces at least a week to kind of get a feel for what the whales are doing. And honestly, they're all freaking out, man. They might not come out and say it directly. Some of them do, but they're all sitting on their hands now. They're waiting. Waiting. And, the thing I think that, again, you look at the past 12 months, there was so much money in this space. There were so many new people getting into the space. There was a lot of FOMO. My friend Greg got super rich and now I got to get in. There's still a little bit of that left, but there's not a lot of new money coming in right now. Yeah. A lot of the people that are in the NFT space are not like first time buyers. They're people that are doing a lot of speculation, or they're involved in pump and dumps.
Well, there's the pump and dump concept is bigger right now than ever, because what I started to notice before things hypothetically slowed down is we started to realize that, this concept of like the whales, the people that had the billions of dollars. And I mean, we see that Elon Musk is getting sued for like $240 billion right now because of like some sort of Dogecoin conspiracy. But the idea that we're here buying NFTs and cryptocurrency, but meanwhile, someone just has to leverage it one way or another, and you're either in the money or screwed. So I think what's interesting to me right now is like, what are those guys doing? What are the manipulators of this doing? Where's their money? I'm curious, because if they really believe in like Bitcoin and things like that, are they dumping all their money into it right now, or are they holding back as well and waiting to see what the next trend is? So that's why I think that this is like a really cool and interesting time. It's because like, if you want to learn about NFTs and crypto and metaverse and Web3, now's the time to do it, because right now you're not susceptible to the hype of spending foolish money. Right now you can actually just like keep your job and learn. And hopefully, if you keep your finger on the pulse, and that's what we want to do with our show, you'll know when to jump in. And man, I think the wealthiest people with crypto and NFTs and all that stuff, they don't exist yet. They haven't invested in it yet. And that's our listeners.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's also worth notating that like, crypto is so cheap right now that, I have no idea what the future of Ethereum. I think it's
scary cheap.
It's scary cheap. Yeah. Ethereum, like, I don't know where it's at today, but it was under $1,000 a coin last week. And I mean, like $1,000 a coin, it was up to, gosh, it feels like it was almost up to 3K or more.
I went to 4.5, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, it's bananas. I don't think Ethereum is going anywhere. It's a proven block. It's a proven blockchain. So I don't necessarily know that it's going anywhere, but I think Ethereum is something that I'm really looking at. Solana as well. I just don't think that these prices are going to stay low forever. Yeah. So we'll see.
If anybody wants a dragon prediction, I'm not good at the stock market. And, this is not financial advice, but one thing that you can take advantage of in my realm is that I spend every waking hour learning about the state of the art in artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and all that stuff. And if you look at that stuff right now, because people look at these Oculus glasses and what, Facebook is coming out with their own stuff and all that. That's not the state of the art. The state of the art is all of those people. This is where I think the money is going to be. All of those people out there are trying to create this undiscernible experience of virtual reality and AI. For those of you that know about AI, they're trying to create AI, artificial intelligence, that passes the Turing test, where a human doesn't know the difference between a human and that. Yeah. So that's being worked on right now. But then in the realm of virtual reality and augmented reality, which would be like you putting on a pair of glasses, walking around outside and seeing new things show up, that is not going to not happen. Because the greatest minds in the world are all moving and working towards this thing that they call the simulation point, like where we get to this point where things are so high tech that you don't know the difference. So as I look at crypto, metaverse, NFTs and all that, my fascination and interest is in that realm. So when I see a company that is like cutting edge in that realm pop up, get involved with a cryptocurrency or an NFT, that's where my interest is.
Yeah. So, Dragon and I still very much on board, very bullish on NFTs. I just think they're going to change everything. And, moving forward into future episodes. And again, if you're new here and some of the words, the vernacular that we're using sounds a little foreign, go back, listen to the first 10 episodes. It's going to give you like a really, really solid framework to make sure that you can carry yourself in a conversation so you can actually do the research. There's just a lot to learn, but the first 10 episodes are going to give you a really strong framework for where we're at. And, moving forward, we've got some really great guests lined up, Dragon. I don't want to spoil it, but I think that, we're at a point now where we just want to bring on more experts, people that can bring us to the next level as far as what's happening next, what are the technicalities, some of the technical aspects, while still keeping it simple at the same time. Because to your point, like the train has left the station and it's becoming less and less obvious what is real and what is fake. And using NFTs to prove this is real it's just mind blowing. I'll give you another perfect example, Dragon. You're talking about Elon Musk. So Elon Musk makes this offer for Twitter for whatever it was, $43 billion to buy Twitter. Twitter's, agrees to the deal. And then Elon's like, actually, maybe I need to back out because it turns out that most of your accounts are not even real. They're bots. I don't know where the actual number is. Like the agreement that Twitter had originally said, it's only 5%. It sounds like it might be a lot more. Bots are all over the freaking place.
Yeah.
What better way to prove that someone is who they say they are than through an NFT? My wife likes to watch Catfish. You don't know who the heck is on the other line,
Catfish.
I mean, God, like it's just some of the stories there. I don't know.
One other thing that I want everybody to know as we look forward and we put a bow on this episode is, because of all of the uncertainty out there, one of the things that Mark and I are real passionate about is building our community. That's what's coming next. That's where we're putting the time and effort, whether it be through Discord and, Facebook groups and Twitter spaces and stuff like that. We want to create a place that you can consider somewhat of a psychological safe haven, where when you know that you're in the realm of NFTs Made Simple and you're hearing from Mark Savant and the Dragon, we want you to know that that's going to be like an NFT, meaning authentic. And we just want to make sure that our community feels safe and can really just, roll up their sleeves and learn about this stuff. So that's what's coming next.
Love that. Couldn't agree more. Dragon, it's been a pleasure recording these last 25 episodes with you, brother. And for all the listeners out there, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting, and thanks for doing the hard work. Listening to this show weekly, sharing this out with people, having discussions puts you light years ahead of the average person. So props to you for making it happen. And thanks for listening.